Hi, this is Heidi from Garden Crossings, and it is the end of July, and this is the most favorite, I think, garden tour that I do of the season. July always seems to be like really just like our prime time here for the gardens. Everything always just looks amazing. The color's beautiful. The hydrangeas are always in bloom. So this is just the perfect, I think, summer garden tour to give you, and I hope that you really enjoy it as well. So this is going to be a packed full video with just a ton of information, a ton of different plant varieties. So grab your pen and your paper and get ready to start jotting down some names of the things that you're loving. For those of you who are new to our station, Garden Crossings is a mail order company. We ship plants all over the United States. So if there's something that you like, we can ship it directly to your door. Or if you're fortunate enough to live close to or can drive to Zeeland, Michigan, we do have our retail garden center as well, where you can shop for all your favorite proven winners, annuals, perennials, and shrubs. If you're looking for a proven winners destination, Garden Crossings is your garden center. So let's go ahead and start this tour and let you walk through the gardens with me and show you all the beautiful things that are currently blooming. We're going to start today's tour out in the parking lot of all places, but I think this is where the plants are just amazing and are shining and just really kind of an ooh and ah look as you drive up to the store. The plants you're seeing here are the Bobo Hydrangeas. They are in their prime. They're just starting to nicely open, and as they continue to age, they're going to take on a really pretty blush pink color. But when they are just this crisp, clean white, I think they always are just so beautiful looking. In this flower bed, to create kind of a pairing, we planted them with Supertunia hot pink mini Vistas, along with Verbena meteor showers. We recently had our parking lot sealed, and by doing that, it really did take a toll on these Supertunias, creating a lot of like heat. The heat kind of really made the blossoms look kind of not so nice. So these will soon be passing. They're self-cleaning, and you can already see that there's a lot of crisp, clean new flowers there. So as soon as they self-clean, we'll be back to blooming with a beautiful hot pink color. The meteor showers, verbena, is always a great plant for the butterflies. So we really like to attract the butterflies into all of these gardens, and the verbena are always just a flurry of butterflies during the day. Let's head on over to the front of the garden center, where we will take a look at what we have planted along the front. You can see there's just a beautiful mass of color. So let's go take a look at what we have blooming. So up along the parking lot, we have a combination of 4 plants that we have repeated throughout the full planting. The plants that you're seeing here are the Supertunia Vista Jazzberry, those beautiful purpley pink looking petunias. They just do an amazing job here in the landscape, covering any dirt that might even be showing, and really a nice color that pops in the garden. We also did Salvia this year. This is Sylvia rockin' playing the blues. We did that to create kind of a nice height in this garden bed. You don't want everything to all be flat and the same height. So this is kind of what we're considering our thriller. And then in the front, we have the Macedonia Gold Dust, which I think is a very underutilized plant, or maybe even not even really many people know about it. But that's just that beautiful, small, dainty yellow flower. Look how pretty that looks up against that Vista Jazzberry. Also, just for some greenery, we have the Cerveza in lime, Plectranthus. This is a really wonderful plant. It's got a really unique, interesting texture, but the neat thing about it is if you rub your hands over the foliage, it smells like lime. So imagine the yummy smell of margarita in your garden. We also do a lot with Aquapods, and here you can see we have this beautiful Aqua Pot planted up. Along the front of the garden center, we have 6 of them, and they are all doing spectacular. The reason why you may want Aquapots in your garden is if you're somebody who, number one, doesn't like to water, or maybe not likes to but forgets to water, these usually can go about a week between needing to fill them up, depending on the size Aquapot you get. This is a really large one, so this one does go about a week. But now that we're here at the end of the summer, the plants are getting bigger, they're getting a little bit more thirsty. So we usually come out and check this one about twice a week to refill it. And when we do so, we dump some water-soluble fertilizer down in there, mix that up as we're refilling it, and that way these plants are constantly getting food while they're in these containers. Some of the plants we did this year is the Supertunia Vista Whiteout, which is a beautiful white, along with the Supertunia Magenta. There's some Salvia Golden Delicious, which is that nice kind of a chartreuse green color. And then you can see poking up there at the top, that's Salvia Unplugged Pink. So, and then of course the palm tree in the center for the thriller. So these are doing really nice. I love that color combination, and I think it's so striking up against that cobalt blue of the pot, which actually, let's take a look a little bit lower. You can see there's some silver dichondra, silver falls, also just draping over the pot, and I think that looks spectacular as well. As we move down just a little bit further, we ran out of all of those plants. So we wanted to keep the same look going, but how can we do it using maybe a similar but different variety? So we still have the Vista jazzberries here planted, but instead of using that cerveza and lime, we use the lemon coral sedum. So that's a great ground cover as well. That looks really nice with that Vista jazzberry. This Aqua Pot, we did a little bit different color scheme. We've got the Coral Sun Super Bells, along with some of the lime green Creeping Jenny. We did Wicked Witch Coleus, and then some of the diamond, I think this is the Diamond Mountain Euphorbia, and then Jet Black Sweet Potato Vine. So a little bit different look, but still I think a very stunning combination that's very complementary with that Jazzberry Supertunia. One thing to point out with these Supertunias is they're self-cleaning. So a lot of people don't like petunias because, you know, they've got this memory of grandma out in the garden picking at them to keep them looking good. That's certainly not the case with the Supertunias. Supertunias are sterile, meaning they don't produce seed. And if a flower doesn't have to produce seed, it has one job, and that's to keep on flowering. So that is why the Supertunias do excellent in the landscape or in containers, because they are just blooming their craziness out because they don't have to produce seeds. They're doing their job, producing more and more flowers. So these aren't your grandma's petunias. These are the Vista Petunias, the Supertunias, the no-pick petunias. As we make our way along the parking lot here, hopefully the sun, it's kind of evening right now, so hopefully the sun doesn't kind of shade everything. But this here is a new begonia for 2023, the Surefire Cordial Cherry. Really deep dark foliage, really super glossy, with a beautiful bright red flower. You can see how well this is doing here in the ground planting. This would also be an excellent plant for hanging baskets or containers. Up against the back wall there is the Alstroemeria Inca Ice. If you watch any of my home garden tours, I often speak very highly of this plant, and here it is in another location doing just as beautiful. Up against the fence there, that little texture you're seeing in the grass, that's a new grass for 23. That is the Cypress Queen Tut, a really fun wispy grass, a little bit different tufts on it. I love it both in the containers and also, as you can see here, in this ground planting. There's a little bit of Monarda here. This is a planting of 5 plants. This is the Monarda Leading Lady Plum. The Leading Lady series blooms just a little bit sooner than the Pardon My series, if you're kind of curious what the difference between the two is. Up against the back fence there, we have a beautiful Pugster Pinker butterfly bush. Very compact, only about 2 foot tall and 2 foot wide. And that's a great plant that just blooms from about midsummer here in Michigan through the end of the summer. Speaking of being in Michigan, we are a Zone 5B, 6A garden here at Garden Crossings. So for those of you wondering, you know, what type of climate do we grow in, that's the type of climate we're growing in. The beautiful Clematis you're seeing here up against the fence, this is the Pink Mink Clematis. A little bit smaller flower form, but there's just so many flowers that this plant produces. There's a lot of flowers that have already bloomed, a lot that are currently blooming, and there's a ton more buds. So this is really a very nice long blooming Clematis. Some of the new varieties for 2023, let's go in and take a closer look. There is a new purple. This is the Mini Vista Midnight Supertunia, and it's mixed with the Mini Vista Yellow Supertunia. Both of these are great in the ground. You can see they just do an excellent job covering, as well as planted in a container or hanging basket. What's different between the mini vistas and the regular vistas is the flowers are just a little bit smaller and the plants don't get quite as large. We've got a few of the new Bright Lights Osteospermum. This is Horizon Sunset. The unique thing with the Bright Light series is normally in the heat of the summer, they stop blooming. But you can see here, it's the end of July, it's quite hot, and they're just blooming and giving us lots of color. One of my new favorite annuals, though, I think, is this Numecia Aromance Mulberry. Beautiful purple plant. It's doing well both in the ground and in containers, and it's just continued to bloom. I feel like a lot of time Numecia just kind of stops in the summer, but man, this plant is just going and looking gorgeous. Along the back fence there is a new sweet potato vine, and that is one that's a climbing sweet potato vine. So if you can see how we kind of have those bamboo sticks in there. If you have a container or in your garden and you want to create kind of a trellis or something for it to climb up, this is a nice upright variety, or I suppose it will trail over quite a ways. But I think the main point with this one is to let it whirl and twirl around your trellis and give your containers a little bit of height. The Alstroemeria here is Inca Jolie, a sister to the Inca Ice. This has a little bit more of the red orange tones to it. Another beautiful long flowering perennial that makes a great cut flower. The next little section here of new plants, we have the Superbell's Prism Pink Lemonade. And it's funny, I was out here earlier today and this plant was showing a lot more yellow, where right now here at night there's a lot of pink showing. So that's kind of interesting. I'll have to come out and check it tomorrow, but this is a nice blend of pink and yellows. Typically Superbells don't like to be planted in the ground because usually your ground is a little too wet for them. But these are doing fabulous, and you can see how they're even spreading a little bit. Also, we have the Superbell's Double Yellow, a very nice, pretty pale yellow, little rosebud flowers. Just kind of one of those more dainty type of a plant. In the back, we have the Lakota Fire Coneflower, beautiful red coloration, along with the One in a Melon, which is the kind of orangey yellow you're seeing there. Really large blooms there on the One in a Melon. Here's a Dwarf Lilac. This is the Bloomerang Dwarf Pink. It's only about 2 foot tall and 2 foot wide. It did bloom earlier this spring, but now it's ready to set its second flush of flowers. You can see all those beautiful buds on the tip of these plants. So this is a rebloomer, which the Bloomerang series, they're all reblooming lilacs. So not only do you get to enjoy the lilacs in the spring, you get to enjoy these beautiful lilac flowers in the summer as well. Another group of new plants, we have the Supertunia Mini Vista Scarlet, which is a beautiful red. And that's doing really nice, creating a nice mounding habit. Mixed in with that is the new Supertunia Persimmon, which is kind of a corally pink with a little bit of orange and yellow undertones. Again, doing really nice flower coverage here. Nice mounding habit in the garden. The hydrangea we're seeing is the Invincible Wee White. It's a little bit past its prime, but even so, I mean, look at the flowers. They're still really, from a distance, that looks gorgeous. Buddleia Pugster Blue, nice deep blue flowers. This is just starting to bloom here. Let's go in and take a closer look so you can just see how intense that blue is. That is a gorgeous, gorgeous flower. And the other thing too is this plant is very fragrant, so it smells really nice as well. Hydrangea Invincible Mini Mauvette, down kind of towards the end of its bloom cycle, but still, I mean, the flowers are looking nice. Daisy May Leucanthemum. And now we're kind of repeating back, this garden is kind of repeating what we've already seen, kind of at the center of it. And it's, yeah, a lot of the same plants. So let's just take a look as we walk along. You can see how the plants are doing. You know, I showed them in one location, but here you can see them in another location just to see that they do equally well. I'm not just showing you the best of the best. In the back there is Allium Serendipity. Look at those beautiful flowers. It's a nice whimsy plant with those nice like balls on the top. This is a great plant for pollinators. Lots of bees are on this right now. I see a lot of honeybees. So if you are somebody that's allergic to bees, this might not be the best selection for your garden, but it's really a very beautiful plant. Along the back fence there, we have Nafophia. This is Nafophia Backdraft. I just love the red hot pokers. I love the flowers on them. Such a beautiful flower and kind of a neat flower form as well. Another queen tut grass. This Aqua Pot has the Medusa sweet potato vine, which is a heavily serrated lime green sweet potato vine, along with some Wedgwood blue Angelonia and some more of the Salvia. Along the back is another Pugster pinker butterfly bush doing gorgeous. Here you can see some of the new plants in another setting. So when we planted the purple and the yellow together, like we really weren't thinking or planning it out, but I think that's a great companion plant, one to the other. They mix really pretty, and I think the colors complement each other nicely as well. Along the back fence, we have the beautiful At Last rose. Gorgeous large pink flowers, self-cleaning, and very fragrant. Sylvia Pink Dawn. This was a plant that was blooming earlier this spring. The gardeners gave it a light trim, and look at it. It's back blooming again with these beautiful pink spikes. There's some honeybees on this one as well. Up against the back fence, I'm excited to watch this new addition. This is the Firelight Tidbit. So I am going to try to be taking lots of pictures of this throughout the summer. I'm going to really try to highlight it in all my videos because Firelight Tidbit right now is the most compact of the hardy hydrangeas that we carry. This plant is about 2 foot tall by maybe 2 to 3 foot wide. It's been in here, this is year 2, so I'm hoping that it stays as small as what we're seeing it here. Well, these flowers are just starting to open. But once they do open fully, this plant is just going to be covered with all these beautiful proportionally sized flowers. And then at the end of the season, as you know, it gets cooler, they're going to turn a bright fiery magenta color. So I'm super excited to watch that and see how it does. Next to it, there's some frankly scarlet coneflower, along with some Mojave yellow portulaca. They're starting to close up for the night. This is an improved variety, larger flowers and a lot more flower coverage. In the back there is a new coleus for 2023. This is part of the Color Blaze series. This is the Mini Me Watermelon. Some more Allium Serendipity, looking gorgeous. We got some samples of some picture plants, so we planted them down here. This is a very wet part of the garden. You can see all the little puddles and stuff. So we thought, you know what, this is going to be a good place to plant these, and they are doing fabulous. I'm really liking them in this location. There's not many locations in my garden that these would work, but these are doing really fabulous here. They're called Bug Bat. Sarracenia, I believe is how you say it. So these are meat eaters. They eat bugs. Some of the other plants in this garden right now that are blooming, we have the Monarda that's kind of just finishing up. Another Daisy May. The red flowers, those are Sun Patience Red. This is a new plant that I'm really loving. This is a Heliopsis called Bit of Honey. Nice variegated green and white foliage with a nice golden flowers. These were just recently planted, so they're quite small, but as they continue to get larger and larger, they are just really gorgeous. I've been watching them out in the trial garden, and I've been so impressed with how they've been doing. Sweet potato vine red hawk, great for containers, or as you can see here in the ground. The incredible blush hydrangea. Got a new coleus down there, beautiful yellow. Here's a new begonia. This is part of the Surefire series, Surefire White, with a nice green foliage and the really clean white looking flowers. Incredible blush. Another incredible blush. A few more of those Heliopsis just to show you the color there. We've got some heuchera planted in here. These are part of the evening, I think these are heuchera evening gown. Some more of the little water plants. And then in the back here, I want to show you, this is a new Agastache or hyssop. This one is called Raspberry Bray, I believe. Let me take a look here at the tag so I don't get it wrong. Oh, Royal Raspberry. So one nice thing with Agastache is it's long blooming. If it starts to feel like it's not flowering, give it a little light trim and it'll be right back at blooming again. Just look at all those flowers. And it's really nice too because it's a nice fragrant plant. So I don't know if you're familiar with like anise candy or like black licorice. That's what this plant smells like. It's really a pretty plant. All right, let's head over to the Waterfall Garden. Making our way to the front of the fountain. So in this area, we kept one of the ponds kind of more natural, allowing, I'm not sure what these are, but these water plants. There used to be cattails in here, but those were removed and these guys showed up one day. Kind of pretty with their little flowers. There's a lot of toads and stuff in this pond. So we're just letting this one go natural. And then over here, we've created a, I guess, I don't know if you call it a pondless waterfall, where there's no sitting water. It just flows down the two streams from that top waterfall, and then when it gets to the end, it lands in a reservoir where the rock bubbles over. In this area, we again repeated a lot of the same things. The Salvia Rock and Play in the Blues, Euphorbia Diamond Snow, Coleus Albrido, and Cleome Senorita Blanca, which is the white. There's not a lot of it in here, but there's a little bit of wispy white going on. That's the Senorita Blanca Cleome. Up at the top of the waterfall, we have the Suncredible sunflowers, and they are just so dreamy up there. I love how the sun just kind of reflects off of them. Next year, I think I want to take more and just kind of follow the waterfall down even more to really kind of frame this waterfall in. They don't need to be deadheaded. You can deadhead them if you want to take the time to do it, but they don't need to be deadheaded to continue to look gorgeous all summer long. And with these, like a lot of sunflowers, it's like one bloom and done. These just keep flowering like continuously. They were planted in, I think we planted them in May, and they won't stop blooming till sometime in probably October. Red and white sun patiens lining the waterfall, lining the front of this bed. Again, you're seeing a lot of that repeat where we've repeated the similar plants in this location. To add a little bit of motion into this bed, we planted some Pennisetum rubrum grass, and you can just see how with a gentle breeze, it just kind of sways there in the wind. This is kind of a stacked planting, so we've got the sun patiens in front with the grass, and then tucked behind the grass, we have the Going Bananas daylilies, and then behind those are the, lo and behold, blue chip butterfly bush that are just starting to bloom. sign is looking really nice. We planted more sun patience out here. I believe this is the candy stripe. It's kind of a two-tone sun patient, along with the lemon coral sedum. And then at the tips of these gardens, we have the berry blend lantana, which the gardeners have recently come through and deadheaded, just to kind of like bulk them back up. So I'm seeing a lot of new growth. So hopefully these will really come alive and start flowering with the sun of August. I headed over to the sign garden and I was thinking, oh my word, how could I have forgot the 55-mile-an-hour garden? So I'm going to head back over to the north side of the property and show you that. So I don't know if you can hear in the background or not the traffic noise. I'm hoping not so much, but there's a lot of traffic on this road, especially during the day. And we want to make sure that, you know, as this traffic is going past, that their heads are turning. And this garden that we're walking up to now is certainly one of those gardens that is a definite head turner. And if somebody's not turning their head, they're either eyes on the phone or they shouldn't be driving because they're blind. Look at this gorgeous garden. So we wanted to stick with simple colors that are bright and pop. So what we used in this space is the lemon coral sedum, Vista bubblegum, and Vista paradise. So this just creates just a very striking look. Behind the white fence, we have the Suncredible sunflowers, just to kind of peek over the top and to also kind of just frame this area in a little bit. So if you were driving past, I'm not sure, but I'd have to guess you're gonna have your head turned and you're gonna notice this garden. This is the new garden bed, and I was gonna skip this one because I just feel like it's kind of meh right now, but that's not fair. Like every garden space needs to have its 5 minutes, right? So I'm gonna walk you through here, talk about what's blooming, talk about why some of these things are kind of meh looking, and yeah, just that way you can see it month to month, because I know a lot of you are really curious on how this garden is progressing, so it's only fair to show it. So one thing you'll notice is that we do have grass seed that was planted and it's coming in really nicely. So we're really happy about how that is taking. There's some straw there to kind of hold it down, but I'm happy with the grass seed coming through. So up front center here, there are two hydrangeas. These are the Let's Dance Ariba hydrangeas. A lot of these plants were just planted last fall or during the summer. So this is going to be a garden that we're going to grow together with. You're going to see it as it transformed from a newly planted garden to a mature garden. So Let's Dance Ariba is a nice big leaf hydrangea, and it's one that once it flowers, it's quick to send up more blooms on its new growth. So I'm really excited to watch and see how those are doing. I think the biggest reason why I didn't want to show you this garden though is because I'm terribly embarrassed about the petunias that are out here. They look terrible. And it's not the petunias' fault, it's our fault. We need to be out here fertilizing these plants more. So they're trying really hard. We're just not being very good plant parents out here. So you can see the purple, which looks gorgeous from a distance. This is the mini Vista Indigo, and it's really a beautiful plant, but when we get up close to it, you can see there's like no leaves. It's just totally not looking good. So as long as you're looking at it from a distance, it's okay, but it needs fertilizer. So if your plants are looking anything like what these are looking like, please, please, please give them a good dousing of fertilizer. Moving along, we've got some of the Veronica Magic Show Purple Illusion. These were trimmed back and now they're starting to put up some more buds. So they're looking really pretty. We also did a little groupings of coneflowers throughout. This one here is Yellow My Darling. Some lacanthamum out here that's been deadheaded. You can see it's kind of towards the end of its life. So they'll just give that a trim and then hopefully we'll get some more flowers coming off of those. Some yarrow or Achillea. We did a planting of all the different colors there. The pinky one is Firefly Amethyst, the white Firefly Diamond, the yellow Firefly Sunshine, and then the peachy one is Firefly Peach Sky. Also in this garden, just behind them, are some Nafophia. The ones blooming closest is the Rocket's Red Glare. Then we have Orange Blaze and Backdraft. When we planted this garden, we were really intentional about planting things that would be blooming in all seasons. So there's summer interest out here, there's fall interest, winter interest, and spring interest. So there should always be something in this garden giving us a little bit of interest. This wall was recently placed and put in, and I think they did a great job on this. So this just kind of gives this little garden bed a little bit of character. And you can see all the space behind it that we have to be planting more things. So we'll see what we get planted back there. But there's a lot of great new varieties that we haven't planted yet. So this is nice to have space to be able to do it. Another thing I should mention is we are getting a tree, one of the trees from the Proven Winners tree collection. It's a birch, and it's called Avalanche. So that will be in here hopefully on the next video. It's got gorgeous texture and it's a beautiful specimen of a plant. So we're excited to get that planted in here, as well as a brand new ginkgo for 2023. So we'll show you that in the next video once it's planted. On the end here, we did some of the, let's see where they do the Limelight Punch. Little Lime Punch, sorry, wrong name. Little Lime Punch hydrangeas. So as these grow, it's going to be a mass of hydrangeas here on the end. They'll get about 3 to 5 foot tall. So they're planted spaced in such a way that once they get to their maturity, it'll just be this giant clump of beautiful white blooms. Making the way around the corner, we have the Black Cherry Supertunia. And this plant is the plant that just absolutely amazes me every single time. It just seems so unbelievable that you can have a bleeding heart in hot, hot, full sun. This is the Pink Diamond's bleeding heart. It has been blooming since, goodness, early May, and it's gonna go throughout the summer. And it's just always just tons and tons of flowers and this beautiful kind of gray-blue foliage. So if you're looking for a long bloomer, like front, maybe border, this Pink Diamond Dicentra may be something that would work in your garden. Sedum. This is ground cover sedum. This is the Rock and Low Pop Star. This will be blooming in the fall. But even so, it's got great foliage right now. Dressed Up Evening Gown Heuchera. Probably not the best place for these, and the only reason I'm saying that is because with this dark brown mulch, they really don't pop that much. But the plants are beautiful. It's just that they're not popping up against that dark mulch. More of the red and white Sun Patience. Here's some more of the brand new Super Sweet Caroline Upside Black Coffee Sweet Potato Vine. It's kind of doing more creeping here because I don't have nothing for it to crawl up. Planted some of all the Proven Winner daylilies. Right now, the only one blooming in the back with a good bloom is Tiger Swirl. Asclepias. If you're going to have a butterfly garden, you've got to have Asclepias. And this one here has got really pretty flowers. Once these go to seed pod, they're so unique. This is the Asclepias hairy balls. So we'll show you those seed pods once it gets to that point. But this is such a beautiful, beautiful plant. Durvilla. So if you have an area that's kind of a tricky spot, full sun to full shade, if you've got deer, if you've got bad like soil, this is Durvilla Kodiak Orange. It's a native plant and it's really gorgeous. You can see the new growth on it, has that kind of orange tip on it. It does get little yellow flowers that aren't super significant, but just a nice plant. If you've got that tricky spot that you don't know what to do with, the Durvilla might work in that spot for you. Here's the Durvilla Kodiak Red and Durvilla Kodiak Fresh. Black foliage you're seeing here is the Geranium Boom Chocolata, which gets purple flowers on it. I just got to show you the sun. It's such a beautiful, like, getting ready to be a sunset. Here we have the Buddleia Miss Violet. It's only about 2 foot tall, but it's going to get up to 4 foot as it continues to grow. Planted next to it is the Buddleia Miss Molly. And another Buddleia Miss Pearl. All part of that Miss series. They all get about 4 foot tall. Got a few ornamental grasses in here just for some fall interest. This is the Prairie Winds Cheyenne Sky. It's going to continue to get larger, but it's got that beautiful red tips. Looks nice as it just kind of blows in the breeze. All right, oh, here we go. We have a Russian sage. This is Sage Advice, young plant, but really pretty silvery blue flowers. Another full sun drought tolerant plant. So we are getting ready to put up and finish this area. So this is why this hasn't been seeded yet. But we have room for one more hoop of a greenhouse. The poles have been set. So we just got to get basically the hoops and then the downward poles. And then this side of the greenhouse, or this side of the property, is going to be totally finished off. Once the equipment and stuff is done, you know, running over this, we're going to get this all seeded and grassed up, so it'll be really kind of a pretty, I hope, park-like area. So this is the project for this fall, is getting this area here finished off and getting rid of all these weeds. All right, so I think now that I showed you this little bit of an embarrassing garden, I hope you can appreciate that, you know, even our gardens aren't perfect and have a little bit of mess going on too. You know, they always say, like, when you're finished with a garden, it's dead or you're dead, because a garden is always a work in progress. So let's head on over to the final bed and see what's going on over there. So for those of you who are stuck around and are waiting till the end, I'm going to go ahead and show you this garden here. Thank you for holding on and following along. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to do so, because there's just so many flowers and so many gardens to talk about that, you know, you don't want to miss them, I'm sure. So anyways, let's go ahead and talk about this garden. This garden is this is year 3 in this garden. Always still a work in progress. Things are constantly being added into it. But right now what you're seeing, like what's really popping out, is Supertunia Vista Bubblegum and Supertunia Vista Paradise. Well, maybe it's those bags of soil that are popping out. But if we're looking at flowers, those are the flowers that are popping out. In the back, you're seeing that white flower. That is the little quickfire hydrangea, looking really nice. The purple flowers are some verbena meteor showers. New lantana for 2023. Kind of a nice light orange, light yellow. Rebecca Little Gold Star is the yellow. And then you'll see there's some of the, I believe it's lobelia, and I believe it's called Starship Pink. There's another one there on the other side of that little gold star. We do have some lemon coral sedum lining the front of this garden bed. And then in the back there, there's the purple you're seeing is more meteor showers, and Rockin' Playing the Blues Salvia. Supertunias are doing great. If you're looking for plants to just cover up like an enormous amount of space, the Supertunia Bubblegum can cover up to 3 foot wide, like a 3 foot square, I guess. So it really does a big job in the garden. So if you're looking for a plant, one singular plant to really put on an amazing show, any of the Vistas, but bubblegum it's the most popular by far, and it's amazing. They all really are, but bubblegum is just the most known. More Vista Paradise as we make our way around. You can see how we have some little sticks for those new sweet potato vines. We'll see how tall they get by the end of the summer. A couple of the Firelight Tidbit planted in this bed. Some of the mini Mauvette hydrangeas are the pinks. I'm gonna try to get my shadow out of this. All right. In the back there, we have some of the Proven Winter Daylilies. These are blooming, so let's go see which ones are which. All right, King of the Ages. Really large ruffled bloom. This one here, I believe, is Sound of My Heart. And then over here is Storm Shelter. Really beautiful flowers. Another plant that I really like is Stokesia Peachy's Pick. This one just started blooming, but look at all the buds. This is going to bloom until the end of the summer with these beautiful purple flowers. Some more of the Nafophia here. The first one is Backdraft. The next one is Red Hot Poker, or not Red Hot Poker, Rocket's Red Glare. You can see how the one has a little bit more red to it than the other. Up here on the top of the berm, or hill, or whatever you want to call it, we have some more of the Pugster butterfly bushes. Here's a trio of Pugster Blue. And here's a trio of, actually it looks like we've got two of the Pugster Pinker and one Pugster Amethyst. You can see the gorgeous jazzberries blooming. So these weren't looking that great in the last video I did. So we gave them some more water, really gave them a good dousing of fertilizer, and they've bounced back beautifully. Nice, beautiful green foliage, lots of flowers. They're looking really healthy again. It's almost hardy hibiscus season. Here we have Holy Grail. Nice black foliage with these really pretty red flowers. We really need to get some more of these hardy hibiscus, probably planted over in that new bed because there's a lot of room. So actually I probably will leave that as a suggestion when we start planting, because these plants, oh man, in August, they are just something to talk about. Really huge flowers, and the contrast of the foliage color and the flower color, I think, is what's just really striking about these plants. Here we have a annual Asclepias out in the butterfly, out in this garden for the butterflies. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I just kind of turned my head and look who I see. So if you have any Asclepias in your gardens and somebody tells you it has bugs or caterpillars, that's a good thing. And this is a Monarch Caterpillar, so something that you really want to look for on your Asclepias. Just leave them. Don't let nobody spray him. He's a good guy. Let him just eat and have a jolly good time. You want those on your milkweed. So when we planted this garden, I wanted to make for sure we had winter interest. So this here is the Arctic Fire Dogwood, a red twig dogwood. So right now you can see it's just kind of a shrub, nothing special about it. But in the winter, these twigs are going to be really bright red, and I'm going to use them as cuttings for my winter planters. We also did a yellow twig dogwood, and you can see how the habit is distinctly different. This one's more lower growing, kind of more, floppy's not the word, but just it kind of is shorter and wider. I guess that's the best way to put it. Where the Arctic Fire is more mounded and upright. Here's a petunia we haven't seen yet in the garden. This is the Supertunia Bordeaux. A really beautiful kind of bicolor purple petunia. This here is another top selling petunia right after like a lot of the Vistas. bubble gum across the back, and you can see these bubble gum need fertilizer. There's a lot of flowers, but when you go in and look close, that's saying feed me, feed me. So we need to get more fertilizer on these bubble gum. And for those of you who may be wondering, I'm just going to talk about it because someone will ask. All these big black bags that you're seeing here, this is all of our soil for 2023. We just started planting shrubs this week. So this is going to be, there's shrub soil, perennial soil, and annual soil. So this is the stock that we need. This is about 4 semi-truckloads full for next year's planting. So as the sun sets here in the garden tonight, I hope you enjoyed this walk. Thank you for taking this time today to walk through the gardens with me. I know this was a long one, a lot of information, but hopefully it gave you some inspiration as to some new varieties that you may want to be trying for your gardens next year. It's always a pleasure taking you for these tours. If you have any questions, feel free to leave comments below. If you're new to this station, subscribe so you can get all of our wonderful garden tours along with product highlights. And we also do special just new plant introductions as well. So lots of information on our YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe so you'll get notified of all of our new videos that are listed. For those of you who may be thinking, I love all the plants that she showed me, but I don't know where to get them, you can shop online at gardencrossings.com and we'll deliver them directly to your door. This is Heidi from Garden Crossings.